guys, out here coming today in Raid Shadow Legends with a champion guide for a Reliquary tender. If you guys know me, you know one thing. I love this rare champion, one of the top rares in the game, in my opinion. And today, I'm going to tell you guys why, and more importantly, how to build this champion, at least my favorite build for this champion. First off, a few shoutouts to you guys. We have Shih Tzu. Ash, do a Reliquary tender. We have Masteries, Reliquary tender, FTW. I still use her in Spider and Dragon 20. Old school, underrated, best rare champ every account should have. And Krisk too, please. We got Just Doka looking for a Reliquary tender, one of the best rare supports. I absolutely agree. Jaleel, please do a guide. Eric, please do a guide. Jeff, please do a guide as well. Shout out to all of you guys. Let's go ahead and do the damn guide today. Sorry, I'm kind of a frisky mood this afternoon recording this video. So why? Why all the requests for Reliquary tender? Why do I love this champion so much? She is a void rare champion, obviously. There she is in all her glory. Hey, do you guys know what Reliquary means? I didn't really. I'm embarrassed to say now that I know what it means because I looked it up before this video. Well, we know what a relic is, right? And it has to do with relics. A reliquary is where they put relics. There we go. There we go. And Love Me Tender. Little Elvis fan, obviously, here. So, High Elf Rare Champion support. On the A1, she's got about, well, 9 levels there. That really sucks. Definitely the downside to this champion. The good news, though, is only 2 levels on the A2 and only 1 on the A3. So, overall, the book cost isn't too bad. It does suck when they jam up the A1 with a bunch of books and then the rest go to the A2 and the A3, you know? Anyway, she does bring the weak version of Decrease Attack. It's better, especially against bosses, than no version of Decrease Attack, so it can be nice in a pinch. It is a, 10, 20, 30, 50% land rate in total when you do have it booked out. Tender's Watch on the A2. This, to me, well, the A2 and the A3 are what make this champion, right? Tender's Watch removes all buffs from all allies, and then places the big version of Continuous Heal on them for 2 turns. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Personally, I would book this champion until I got the A2 and the A3 booked, and then I'd probably save the rest on the A1 unless you're really relying on that Decrease Attack debuff. So, the full cleanse in the big version of Continuous Heal, I can tell you straight up, there's no rare that even comes close to this. This is the best rare support ability, in my opinion, by a substantial margin, right? A cleanser is very valuable. There are a couple rare cleansers, none with a 3-turn cooldown on an AoE, and then she has the big version of Continuous Heal on top of that. She also has a revive, a 5-turn cooldown. There's only 4 rare revivers in the game. Grinner, Gear Grinder, Reliquary Tender. I think that might be it. Am I forgetting one? There's a couple conditionals out there, but that's it. There's not that many. So it's really nice to have one here who already has a really strong kit on that A2. Call to Life is a 30% HP, 30% turn meter revival on a 5-turn cooldown single ally. It's not a great revive. It's a pretty lackluster revive, but it is a revive, right? And sometimes that's all you need. Revive an ally, then heal them up. They're right back in the battle, right? So I used her on both of my accounts for a while as my main reviver before I got Soul of the Drakes. But even after I got Soul of the Drakes as a login reward champion, I still used her as a cleanser and a healer on the same team as Soul of the Drakes, and I had 2 single target revivers, right? So it doesn't mean you have to stop using her. And she has late game viability in either Nether Spider. The cool thing about her is you can really use her almost anywhere in the game, right? Anywhere you need a cleanser specifically, or you can just fill her in as a cleanse, heal, revive, support champion if you have kind of that open slot on any team. Almost in any area, I would say, except Fire Knight inside the game in terms of all the traditional dungeons and Doom Tower as well. So really, really cool in terms of her overall utility as a champion, her versatility, if you will. So base stats, her HP isn't too bad. Her defense is almost 1,000, I would say average for a rare, and her speed isn't bad either at 103. Nothing stands out as incredibly good nor incredibly bad. All right, let's go ahead and I want to share with you guys my 2 favorite builds on this champion. I'm only going to show you one, and then I'll just tell you the other. It's not rocket science in terms of how to build this champion. She's really easy to build, right? That's the cool thing about her. So let's go ahead and pull her up here. We have Reliquary Tender in, you guessed it, Relentless. I love her in Relentless gear, guys. Getting a chance for an extra turn I mean, it's obvious, right? She's going to get an extra turn, which is nice, but it's also going to reduce the cooldown of this A2 ability. Keep those continuous heals plenty for the team. Keep those cleanses coming for the team. And if your revive is off cooldown, it's going to help, bring that cooldown down by taking those extra turns. It's an 18% chance of doing so. My second favorite set in this champion would be Reflex. Again, we're going to have a 40% chance to put a random skill on or reduce the random skill cooldown by 1 turn. Most of the time, that's going to go right to Tender's Watch, because most of the time, Call to Life, probably, if your team's obviously alive and doing well, it won't be on cooldown anyway, so it's going to go right to that A2. So, a great option as well as Reflex, especially if you only have so much Relentless gear and you want to use it on a champion who maybe you can get a little bit more utility, maybe like one of your top Hydra champions or something like that. I think Reflex is a great option. So, the third option I would say on this champion would just be triple speed. Triple speed, you can go with a Immortal set if you want a little bit of self-healing there as well. That's nice to consider. So I would say Immortal, Speed, Reflex, Relentless would be my favorite sets on Reliquary Tender. Let's go ahead and do the Masteries together on this champion. Oh, actually, really quick before that, Blessings. Survival Instinct, not a blessing that we talk about a lot here on the channel. Certainly no need for the crit damage on this champion at all, but it does partially fill this champion's turn meter whenever a debuff is placed, spread, or transfers onto them. Occurs once per enemy turn. That's really nice. I think this is a very underrated rare blessing out there. So I picked it up for Reliquary Tender. Now, we do want to build her with a little bit of resist as well, but more on that in just a moment. Going to Masteries. I'm going to pick up, as I mentioned, resist here. So we're going to start with the resist. We're going to come down to... Let's go ahead and come down to Rejuvenation, because I do like to run her on a shield team. I'm also going to pick up Blastproof. Decreases damage received from AoE attacks by 5%. I want to pick up Resurgent because I love that mastery so much. I'm going to come down and I'm going to pick up Delayed Death. And then I'm going to pick up Cycle of Revenge. 50% chance to increase the turn meter by 15% when an ally is attacked with a critical hit. We want her going a lot. We want her being fast, and we want her being timely. So now we have a choice. We can go offense or we can go support, right? Now, I personally like going support on this champion, but there's nothing at all wrong with going down the offense tree. Basically going crit rate, crit damage, not incredibly necessary, obviously, but basically we're doing the entire offense tree to come down and pick up one mastery, and that is War Master. Now, personally, I don't like going down an entire tree just for one mastery, just for a little bit of damage. I feel like the game is at a state where there's a lot of DPS options out there. So unless you're really trying to min-max your damage for like a clan boss team or, for a very specific run, then I don't see the need of building all your support champions with War Master. So I like going defense and support, but again, to each their own. We don't need the accuracy. Of course, we do for the weak version of decreased attack on the A1, but I'm going to assume that most of you have another decreased attack option. So, of course, if you needed it, you could go with Pinpoint, Accuracy, Charge, Focus, Swarm Smiter, and get those accuracy masteries. However, we're going to go ahead and go with the HP instead. Now, I've said this like 100 times on the channel. I'm going to keep saying it every time we deal with a continuous heal champion. But Lay on Hands, Healing Savior, Opportunity, or Merciful Aid, none of those masteries will work with continuous heal. So there's no need to get them on this champion. She doesn't have any other heals that she's bringing to the table. So we're going to go with Shield Bearer. Well, she's not casting a shield either. Well, we might as well go with Exalted Death, right? There we go, Exalted Death. Now, she does bring a buff to the table, so we're going to go with Rapid Response as well. We're going to come down here and pick up both Cycle of Magic. I think Cycle of Magic, I mentioned this before on the channel, guys, I think it's very underrated. It doesn't sound like much, only a 5% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn at the start of every turn. But that 5%, it does proc. It does work. We tend not to notice it, right? But it does work, and getting a 1-turn cooldown off a revive or off of a nice heal or a cleanse can be a difference maker in a battle. So I like picking up Cycle of Magic. It's not OP, but I think it's underrated. I'm going to pick up Lore of Steel. Granted, I only have 1 speed set on this champion, but I think it's the obvious choice here. I'm not going to go, I can't make it all the way down to Evil Eye anyway. We're going to come in with Spirit Haste, increase speed by 8 for each dead ally. This is very, very important for this champion because, again, we want her to be fast when people are dead because we want her to revive them. And then Lasting Gifts is the best way to get more healing out of continuous heals because it has a chance of extending the duration of a buff, ergo another continuous heal on those allies. And then we're going to come down with Timely Intervention, increases champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally hero drops below 25%. Really, for any reviver on the game, if you're unsure of what to do for Masteries, you really can't go wrong coming right down with these 3 Masteries. Cycle of Magic, Spirit Haste, and Timely Intervention. Any reviver in the game, right? When you're not sure, it's a good way to go. It's not always the best way to go, but it's always a respectable way to build your revivers inside this game. I'm going to go with Shadow Heal as well as our last mastery, of course. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. So these are my favorite masteries for Reliquary Tender, guys, for the reasons that I already outlined. So in terms of stat priorities, number 1 is going to be survivability. Number 2 is going to be speed, okay? So we have 53k HP. We have 2,800 on the defense. We have 249 on the speed. Really like this build. Number 3 is going to be resist. Why? Every cleanser in this game, every champion that has a remove all debuffs from all allies, that should be a kind of a trigger warning for you guys. Is that the right word? Probably not. Phrase. But it's a good champion to invest resistance a stat into, because obviously we do not want them to get stunned or frozen or whatever, because we want them to be the one to resist that on the team. That way they can cleanse everybody else, right, who did get stunned or frozen or feared or whatever it may be. So building some resist is always going to be a great option for this champion. I like going with the resist banner on Reliquary Tender. When we talk about building a champion for resist in the mid game, even, I wouldn't say early game, but I would say mid to late game, I'm really aiming for at least 400 resist. Like, it's a kind of a tough number to get to, especially if you don't go resist on the chest, but that's when you're going to actually start noticing you're resisting quite a bit. 389, we'll notice it here and there. We're not going to be able to resist everything, though, obviously, depending on where we are. So obviously I did go resist on the banner. The reason, one of the reasons is because of the speed, right? I really love that speed in that banner as well. We went HP on the amulet. We went HP on the ring. If you're going to go HP on a bunch of accessories, make sure you go defense on the chest, right? We want to kind of balance out our HP and defense and not ignore either one of those. Some areas of the game, HP is incredibly important. Other areas of the game, defense is incredibly important. It's nice to have both of them. Speed on the boots, obviously, and either HP or defense percentage on the gauntlets. Here we have HP flat stat, because as I always say, any speed gear with speed substats, we're always going to roll it. I'm on an endgame account and I still have this artifact, a 5-star flat stat in my collection, right? And I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it on champions like Reliquary Tender. I run Reliquary Tender in some secret rooms on Doom Tower, so I actually use this champion. And I think that, I think this piece of gear is good. All right, so that's it. Stat priorities. We talked about how to build her. Let's go ahead and take her for a quick run in, I don't know, I have actually Faction Wars is open right now. So let's go ahead and run her in Faction Wars. Again, in terms of where we're using this champion, let me go through the list here. I'm actually going to consult to... I already gave you most of my options. She's amazing cleanser for Spider. Amazing cleanser for Dragon. I have this team assembled. Elhain, Apothecary, Arbiter, Alexander the Sharpshooter for a debuffer. And you can run like a Tyrell in that spot. And a Reliquary Tender. So, my favorite areas, Nether, any boss that has a lot of debuffs, or any wave that has a lot of debuffs, right? You're going to see it here against the red boss, because I believe this red boss throws out a bunch of debuffs or stuns or something at us, right? So, okay. Spider, Dragon, Ice Golem. Amazing in all 3 of those dungeons, right? Nether Spider, incredible. And then anywhere else where you're getting a lot of debuffs that can be removed. That's it, which is a lot of areas in the game. Let's go ahead and see if I can pull her up here in the background on hellhades.com as we get to the red boss. So, Reliquary Tender, here she is. So I can't lie to you guys. I agree with like 90% of what's on hellhades.com. There we go. But I do not agree with this overall rating. If we're grading on a curve in terms of rare champions, I think she's one of the best, really, in the game. Anyway, Ice Golem, Dragon. I think she's like a 5-star Dragon champion personally. Maybe I'm splitting hairs, 3.5 to 5. But the Dragon throws out so many poisons, especially on Dragon Hard, that it's so important to have, multiple cleansers, at least one, and she's got the job done, and she revives. Spider, I'd probably give her a 4. Fire Knight, I'd probably give her a 1. I don't think she's getting Fire Knight. Doom Tower Waves, fantastic, right? Clan Boss, just depends on what you need, right? You don't really see her run in Hydra too much, but you could run her on like a 3rd team as a support champion Hydra. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Iron Twin, Sand Devil, no. Hard mode, Dragon, she's amazing in hard mode. Amazing. Ice Golem, she's amazing in hard mode. Just got to keep her alive. Got to build her with a lot of sustainability, right? Shield sets or bolster sets on the team helps as well. Oh, let's take a look here. We're at the red boss real quickly, though. Eternal Dragon, Celestial Griffin, Magma Dragon, Frost Spider, Nether Spider, Scarab King. She gets great reviews in all of those areas. So really, like I said in the beginning of the video, one of the most versatile rares out there in the game, in my opinion. So we have Freeze. It was not Stun, Freeze. We have Provokes. We have Freezes. We have everything. Tender's Watch. Boom. Nice, easy cleanse. We don't have to worry about a thing, right? You can even use her in early game arena as a cleanser, right? In that scenario, what I would do is, if I was going to use her early game arena, I would use her as like a substitution type champion, right? I wouldn't run her on every single team, but if I'm going against like a tournament or something like that, I would kind of change my build a little bit, and I would, in that situation, I would put resist. I would use the same exact build. I mean, you can even have her in Relentless if you want to, right? Probably a better option to go a lot of HP, put her in bolster or shield. But I guess I'm saying all this just to tell you guys that, like, I would never pigeonhole one champion into one specific build, right? Or one specific utility. Smart players out there, and you can see she did not resist that freeze, unfortunately. Smart players out there will take a champion like Reliquary 10 to try to get more use case out of her, right? So let's say you don't need her in Relentless, or you don't have Relentless gear. Throw in a bolster set or a shield set, jack up her HP, and then go as much as you can with accessories and with your gauntlets, right? And then go resist on the chest, resist on the banner, your amulet with as much resist substat as you possibly can find, and then your other 2-piece set, go with like a stone skin to get the resist, or just go with an old school resist set. And she is going to stop your team, or she's going to stop herself from getting frozen by whoever in the arena. And then she's going to be able to cleanse the rest of your team. So it's a great option. And it's just another way that you can use this champion. Kind of like a Spirit Host or mini early game, right? Or a better version of Spirit Host that a lot of people use as a farmable cleanser in the early game. Reliquary Tender, obviously quite a bit better than that. Plus she can revive as well. So anyway, guys, it's taken quite a while, but we do have a fairly, I would say, early game team built here, with the exception maybe of Arbiter. But at least she's an accessible champion. It's not the fastest team in the world, but they're very effective. And unfortunately, again, her getting frozen time and time again like that, of course, our run is not going to fail because of it. But if my runs were failing because of that reason, she was getting frozen every single time, right? Provided she could resist it provided it wasn't a freeze that wasn't able to be resisted, I would jack up that resistance a little bit more, because we want to, be successful and survive and beat the run, beat the dungeon, more than we want to min-max the time. So guys, there it is. Reliquary Tender puts out a ton of healing off those continuous heals. Just an insane amount of healing there. Great cleanser, great support champion. Thank you guys for watching. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.